Welcome to the FYE Talks podcast for our episode, Things I Wish You Knew, Uncomfortable Conversations with African American Colleagues, Part 1.
Good afternoon, students, faculty, and staff. My name is Jerisa Lamons, and I'm happy that you're able to join us today for FYE Talks podcast. Today, our topic is going to be our experiences here in our community and our campus as African American. We were going to say females and males, but we have an all-female panel today. So I want to get started by introducing my panelists. I'll start, I'll let them introduce themselves and tell them what their role is here at the college, how long they've been here, and why it was important maybe to do this podcast today. So I'll start with seniority rules. Ms. Pam Harper, would you like to begin by introducing yourself?
Yes, Ms. Teresa Lamas. My name is Pamela Harper, and as she stated previously, seniority rules. I'm probably the oldest female Black faculty member on this campus. I've been here 40 years, so things have transpired in various ways over 40 years, including my roles here. I initially was hired in the learning lab, and then I had to be a teacher in the social science division, teaching sociology, then teaching social problems, and then having to do freshman orientation, and then we transformed into everything from being partly what Teresa's doing now, the diversity person for a little while, and having to run the lab, and so it's like I've worn many hats in the 40 years. So whenever it seemed like there was a shortage in an area, then that's what I had to do. I've taught here on main campus as well as in Litchfield, as well as on Fort Knox.
I don't think you want to say shortage. It looks like they put you where you were needed to bring things up. We'll position it like that, okay? Next, I'd like for Ms. Shantae Sharpe to introduce herself, please.
Hello, again, my name is Shantae Sharpe. I am the Ready to Work Program Coordinator here at ECTC. I've been here at Elizabethtown for 5 years, but I've been with the system for 10. My higher education journey began at JCTC before coming here.
Okay. Yep. Wealth of experience, because it's two different venues, right, from JCTC to
Absolutely.
ECTC. So you're going to add some really good insight to today's panel. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to have Ms. Pam Best introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I am Pam Best. I'm with the First Year Experience Program, and I am the newly staff. So I've been in this arena for about 8 months now. So, but I've been in the field of academics and social community service for over 20 years, doing a little bit of everything from being a supervisor to even being a student. So I bring a lot of experience. I guess my fun, memorable experience are from my community services, empowering others to reach their goals and be a better you or better themselves. So that's what I pride myself in, and that's why I enjoy being a success coach, because you get to actually work one-on-one with the students and motivate them and encourage them to reach their dreams and goals.
Definitely. All right, thank you. So if everybody's ready to jump right into our topic, as I stated, our topic today is just going to be about having a candid conversation on our experiences as African American female, both here in the community and on campus. So I'd like to start out with sharing a little bit of my personal story. I think everybody's got a moment that they come to. I think my panelists will agree when you realize that the world maybe sees you a little bit differently than they see other people. My moment came in second grade when I was accused of stealing M&Ms from another white classmate. And under pressure, even though I didn't steal the M&Ms, because I was so fearful in my heart of two Caucasian authority figures, I went ahead and admitted it. Well, I can tell you that my mom came up to the school that day and with all the gusto in her heart and advocated for her child. But at that point in time, that was the moment that I realized, wow, people do look at Black kids and white kids differently. So I'd like to know, what was your moment? And of course, I'll start with Ms. Harper. what was the moment that you can reflect back on and realize that you realized that the world maybe saw you differently?
Now, you have to understand, I grew up in a different time period. My initial, during the age that you're talking about, I was in a totally all-black neighborhood. Everybody was black. So, everything to me was supposed to be black. You know, you went to the stores, you went everywhere. You didn't see any white people. When I went to school, there were no whites. So, when I finally did get exposed to people outside of the black race, it wasn't until I went to college. So when I went to Murray State, it was total culture shock. Because if you know anything about Murray, you don't find anybody but whites. So I walked on this campus, and all of a sudden, here I am with nothing but people of the opposite race. I was like, hold up, what time? So about the second week of school, Angela Davis came to Murray State's campus to talk. Wow. She had all of her entourage, machine guns and all. There were 8,000 students at Murray State's campus at that time, and only 300 were black. We walked up the actual hill to hear her speak. Upon walking up that hill was the first time I'd ever seen a Klansman. Oh. It was the first time I ever saw a burning cross. We had to pass that area in order to get where she was speaking. I'd never had anybody spit on me. I never had anybody to call me nigger. And all of a sudden, I had to walk past this. Granted, we went in, we all sat together, hecklers and all were there. She had her men positioned, ready to go. That calmed them down. But we had to get back down that hill. Mm-hmm. And they were very, very vocal. You have to understand, Benton, Kentucky is not far from Murray, and that's where your Grand Dragon lived, okay? We were all told in the very beginning, you never stop for Benton to get gas or food or anything because of that. So when I got back down to this dorm, now mind you, I'm only 18 years old. I've been from the West End, the one that will kick your hand, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's nothing but black people. Mm-hmm. And you sit me down here. I called home. And I told my mom and dad I was ready to quit school. I'm a freshman. You put me in this situation, of course I call home. My father, being the civil rights activist that he was, politely informed me, we need you to go to that school. Dad, get back up on that hill. I told him, in my assertive manner, you can come down here now, say to me, I'm coming home. And my father said, I'm not coming to get you. And I had to learn at that point to deal with everything. As a freshman, I walked in my first English class and I was told, in no uncertain terms, by the instructor, who was white, and everybody else in the room, of course, they were white. I'm the only black person there. She announces to the class, blacks cannot ride. And she used the other word, of course. She didn't use the word black, you know.
Wait a minute. She said the N-word to you.
To the whole class. Not just to me, the whole class. And I'm the only black in the class. Being the aggressive type person that I am, everybody knows Pam's Story, I made it my point. I'm going to prove you wrong.
Amen.
And I stayed in that class. And I didn't get the best grade, but I passed. The next semester, I took a different instructor, and guess what I got?
An A.
Thank you.
So do you think, sorry to cut you
No,
off. Do you think that she impeded your grade in any type of way?
Oh,
or it's just
most certainly.
Yeah.
Most certainly from the time we went there. Understand, when I took English, it's nothing like the way you all take an English class. When you walked into the class, you were given a blue book. There was an actual blackboard that she would pull down the movie screen. When she pulled it up, you were given 3 topics. The first 15 minutes, you wrote your outline. The last 45 minutes you wrote your paper. The only assistance you had was an actual dictionary. At the end of the class, you handed it in. Whatever you got, that's your grade. No rewrites. No nothing. To this day, that's the reason why Pam, you see how I can write.
Yes.
She taught me something.
How long had this professor been?
Oh, she's been there for years, but don't worry, about 3 years later, they fired her, thank God.
Okay. Hate to say hallelujah, but see you bye. And I really love that your perspective, because just crossing it up with mine here, I came from Elizabethtown, and I remember the first moment that I went to Atlanta, Georgia. And I walked into Atlanta and I was like, holy hell, it's Chocolate City up in here. I mean, everywhere you went, somebody was black. I think my eyes were pie-sized by the time I left, because you could turn over and see somebody black riding in a Range Rover, a BMW, whatever, what have you. And for me, those types of elitist things had been reserved in my mind for white people, because that's what I saw. So when I went to Atlanta, it opened up a whole world for me. Pam, what you got?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because it leads me into thinking that a lot of people don't realize we experience culture shock too. And so my first experience is when I became a civilian. I spent majority of my life until my teen years, around 14, as a military dependent. And so I'd never seen anything but until I got to the state of Kentucky. And we had to go to our first middle school here in Hardin County. We walk into a gym, and there's only 10 blacks. And I was counting, because I was like, this is
That's
different.
my life.
This is different. I looked up into the stands, because we all had to meet into the gym. About 200-300 white students. And at that time, I'm like, we're all, I'm not even thinking of race. As soon as we got to, and there were teachers in that gym as well, and I want to make that clear. As soon as we all walked together, because we was kind of scared, because it was a culture shock for us to see just all these white people, 10 blacks, and nobody else. I've never seen that in my life for 14 years. We get to the middle of going to our seats, and we are called niggers.
Welcome to Clan.
Exactly, welcome to Clan Tuck. We are called niggers. We are papers being thrown at us. Spit on, food. We're thinking, okay, the teachers who are standing right there in the gym, there's no black teachers. Hey, they're gonna stop this. They didn't stop it. They didn't do anything. And so we stopped, and we're all just 10 kids afraid to move. Afraid to.
And your kids, okay? I do want to, let's clarify, how old were, this is middle school, right? So you were 12, 13.
Middle school in Vine Grove. And I was 14 years old. And so I was tough too. Us Pams are tough, aren't we? But I was tough too. And I was like, man, I was ready to, okay, we got to fight. I don't know who you are, but you better have my back. I got your back. It's like it's 10 of us, but we didn't feel that the teachers want to protect us, because they're standing right there. And they did nothing.
You guys knew at that age that you all had to be a solid unit together in order to protect each other, right?
Right, and it's something like what Miss Pam Harper said, because we all get that talk.
Yes. No, go into the context of the talk, because I think it's important for our listeners, because I think I can probably head nods that your parents have given you the talk.
They're giving us a talk because we were those spoiled little army brats that had never experienced, and we thought the world was peace and love. I used to tell my dad, it's peace and love. Don't come and tell me about that stuff. That was years ago. This is in 1984. I'm scared to death at this point. And all those words of the talk that my dad gave me, Pam, when you go out here in the civilian life, it's different. You need to make sure you always have the back of your sisters and protect yourself. And if you need to, call your mama. Because my mom would take care of it. And so before first period bell ring, I was calling my mom, because I didn't feel I had any protection there from the adults who let these people spit at us, throw cans. I'm like, where do you get the cans from? Paper. Nigger this, monkey that, the whole banana. All this stuff for an hour, sitting in that gym. When I left that gym, I went straight to the office and I called my mother. my mom came and got us because she already went through it. And she said, you're not going to do my kids like this. And then not to protect them and give them a feeling, a sense of safety and control, you have teachers standing around doing nothing, and the principal was there. And my mom really tried hard to get us switched to Radcliffe Middle, which was more
diverse, yeah.
But because of our mailbox, we had to go to JTL. And it was really 10 of us. And I cried.
I can imagine. And so, and I think, Shantae, before we get to your story, because I definitely want to hear it, I think that that's hard for people to grasp, okay? That you're a 14-year-old kid, you are here to get your education. How well are you going to do in a learning environment with all these other mitigating factors going on around you? You're just trying to survive. Who gives a damn about the ABCs?
It's a good.
All right, Shantae, you know we got to dig into your story. So give us the tea on your story.
Well, what's crazy, I've been sitting here trying to think of something that just sticks out, like a pivotal moment, and I don't have one.
Okay.
I grew up in a very small community where I knew everybody. You know, it was a population of less than 800 people, and they hadn't taken the census since 1980. So,
Okay.
according to the sign, it was Crofton, Kentucky, population 800, EST 1980 or something like that. And they never changed the sign. So we never really knew how many people lived in my little town. I went to elementary school in Crofton. I went with my cousins. And so I've always been around white people because it was a small community. So everybody knew everybody. You know, you knew such and such's family. You know, oh yeah, they racist, but you know, you just kind of knew for whatever. But I have never been called nigga to my face by a white person.
Bless you.
I have not. Now, have I seen it done? Yes. I've been called nigga by black folks.
Amen. Hey, sometimes we can do our own folks worse than anybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I can't speak to that experience. But what I can speak to was the moment when I realized that not everybody was poor or not everybody was on food stamps.
I like that spin on it.
Fourth grade, for whatever reason, I had food stamps in my pocket because I think we were going to the store. We were going to walk to the store after school or something. And I just remember me and my cousin, I don't know why we pulled out our money. So food stamps used to be a book of, you know, stamps. They were all colored, a different color. So a dollar bill, I think, was brown. A $5 bill was either a green or a blue. I can't remember, but I definitely remember the singles because most time they gave us $2 or $3, and you can go to the store and get your penny candy or whatever you was gonna get. And me and my cousin Marcus were, I don't know, on the playground or somewhere, and we was pulling out our money, and Miss Putty, a teacher, she ended up being my 5th grade teacher. Was like, what do y'all have? Is that fake money? He was like, no, it's food stamps. You know, because we think everybody
Normal for you
She's like,
guys.
that's not money, and she took it. And I'm like, give me my money back. You know, because then I can't go to the store. And she's like, that's not real money. And she tore my money up.
Oh, Lord. Did you go home and tell your mom?
I did.
No.
I know
my
she had
cousin
to pay for that.
There you go.
Mama was like, she did what?
Does she who?
But in this community, Miss Putty taught my mama. Miss Putty is the same age as my grandmother. So she knows my entire family. And my mama was like, she know what food stamps is. I was like, but she tore it up, mama. She tore my money. I was so mad. But I think in that moment, I just realized, so you mean you don't get this?
Right.
This ain't money that everybody gets? You know, even growing up where you had government cheese makes the best
There you go.
Oh my gosh, Danielle, Dr. Lovell said that on our
I was
convocation.
like, yes, ma'am. That and the peanut butter cookies. I was the queen of peanut butter cookies in middle school because you had that big can that all it said was peanut butter and a nut on the front of it, and that can was white and the top was silver, and it was just the whole.
Look, no questions about what's in that can, right?
None.
Peanuts.
Right. I was the queen of peanut butter cookies then, but that stuff was normal. You didn't realize that everybody didn't wake up on a Saturday and stand in line to go get this stuff and powdered eggs. What is that? That is disgusting. You know, I didn't know that people didn't do that because everybody I knew did it. Whites, blacks, everybody. I hadn't met a person who didn't stand in line to go get your commodities on Saturday, or who didn't have food stamps, or who wasn't on free lunch. I don't think I learned that everybody wasn't on free lunch until high school. So I think there's a part that, okay, as a black person, we have, you know, not only racism, but then there's classism.
Yeah.
And then there's also, you know, all of the other isms that we go through. And so it just made me kind of realize that I guess I haven't had a pivotal moment for myself, like, oh, you're black, or oh, whatever. Because I've always known that I was black. I've always known that we're different, you know, our hair textures. I remember vividly when they bused the black kids from the projects to Crofton School. So the kids, where I grew up, it was 13 miles from Hopkinsville, which was the same county, Christian County. We had a little local, little elementary school that was full of asbestos well into after I left. So thank God.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Oh yeah, and then everybody knew, you know, Crofton School's got asbestos. Yeah, we sure do. And then for middle and high school, you got bused 13 miles away. You know, don't miss the bus because nobody's taking you to school that early in the morning.
Right.
But they bused one housing project all the way to Crofton to, I guess, diversify the school. So that was different because now, instead of me and maybe my cousin Julia being the only blacks in the class, now here comes Sylvia and Tawana and Eric and Clyde and all of these other students. This was third grade. And I just remember the dynamic shifted a little. I had other friends that weren't related to me, and I would even refer to my new friends as my project friends, my little hood friends. That's where they were from. I didn't know any different, you know, because in my little community, I mean, you know, we didn't have projects. Everybody had a house or a trailer or whatever you had, you know, we didn't have that when I grew up. But you knew 13 miles up the street, you know, it was just different. So I guess, like I said, for me, I just didn't have a one pivotal moment where I felt like I was different. I think just my experience, I've always known that. You know.
That's what I love about black people. It's because, just people all in general, because people always seem to think that my experience is the same as Shantae's because maybe we're about the same age, or my experience is the same as Miss Harper. No, we all have different experiences.
Absolutely.
And see, you've never really had direct racism or direct any kind of
Not
prejudice
growing up.
shown directly to you because of your skin color.
Right.
But you learned that there is a class difference.
Absolutely.
And because you had food stamps, that in itself made a difference in your teacher's life. And then I just had just the opposite. I found a little boyfriend who lived in the projects. I didn't think anything was wrong with the project. The minute my mother found out that boy lived in the project, oh Lord, she went ballistic. You don't associate with those types of people.
What kind of people are they?
Those people.
Those people.
But so let's talk a little bit about that, Miss Pam, because I think a lot of times sometimes that our non-minority allies don't realize that we have racism that goes on inside being black, right? So we've got issues like, for years growing up, hated my skin. Now I love it. Well, I love it. I'd be laying out and getting it all black and dark. I love it. But before, I had issues with it because what I saw was white people, right? They were able to comb straight through their hair. They didn't have their hair up in damn pigtails during the day. And you could go get your hair wet in the swimming pool.
White person, if
Yeah.
she was light,
Yeah.
damn near white, she got
Oh, she got that good hair.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. All the girls from Crofton had good hair. They hated that. Like, I didn't do nothing. I get to high school. Oh, you from Crofton? Yeah. Oh, y'all got good hair. What?
Oh, I remember the embarrassment that I used to feel because at E-Town we had a swimming pool that was attached to our school, and they used to teach us to swim.
Lucky y'all.
Hell no, not for the little black girl. Not says the little black girl, because this is my experience.
I didn't get no
This is the day. So when we were going swimming, my mom would be like, "Oh Lord, y'all got swimming this week. Let me get the chlorine shampoo out, and let me get your hair corn rolled, and don't be tugging and pulling at your hair." And if they popped up a swim test where mama didn't know about it and I came home, what the hell happened to your hair?
I done got excited.
And you know, the white kids used to ask me, why can't you get your hair wet when you come over to the swimming party?
Exactly.
That's part of the excitement.